So what precipitated your second visit to Clonmel?
I suppose when I came back from Limerick and I didn't feel safe. That's the best way I could describe it. I didn't feel safe, and I was here for however long it was. I'm not quite sure, but I didn't feel safe, and I went into the local GP here in Thurles and just said, look, I don't feel safe. I want to go back to. I signed myself in the second time.
So when you said you didn't feel safe, safe from what?
I guess safe in terms of what I might do to myself, maybe, or what I might. I don't know about doing to some other people, but in general, I just didn't feel like. There was always a part of me that was, a small part was sort of saying, this isn't right, and you need to deal with the consequences. I can't honestly answer the question because it's more, I didn't feel, I just didn't feel right,
Okay. And how long did you go in for the second time?
I went in the second time about 10, 11 weeks as well. And some of the memories from the second time could probably blend in with the first time. I don't really remember loads of it, but it's very. I mean, at the time I would have been thinking, well, I've been there twice, and within 12 months span, is this my life now? Is this what I have to look forward to? Is this what my parents have to look forward to? I was in an open ward where a lot of, it seemed like a lot of suicidal patients were open ward for a while, and I had my own room after about a month. But it was very tight security-wise in terms of, you had to go around in pyjamas and bedclothes, and you're restricted in loads of different ways. I mean, to give anyone some idea, the closest thing I have from seeing in movies on it would be Girl Interrupted, and that was set in 1967.
Okay.
And this was 1990. Well, both times were 97, 98.
Okay.
That's the thing I use. That's what it felt like. It was very run down, very old, very. I remember watching Girl Interrupted with an ex, actually, with a girlfriend at the time, and getting very emotional watching it because it was the first time when it came out in 2000. So I was like, this is very close to what it is like.
Okay.
And it shouldn't be.
Sure.
And
the second time you were in, did the doctors, did they say anything different, or did they change your view of things, or?
Well, I think they added medication, Tegretol. It's what epileptics, it can be used for epilepsy as well. So they added that. Besides the lithium at night, I would take these during the day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. And I can't remember any more foresight than that, really. I think a lot of what was said probably would just go over your head. You would just try and survive, very survival mode. And that's the best way I can describe it.
When you did finally come out, what date would this be approximately?
It would have been late January or February 1999.
Okay, and how did you feel about yourself?
It was tough. I mean, I was just a few months away from my 24th birthday. Friends are more established in career, maybe out of college a few years. Very envious of some of the lads up in Dublin, going out and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't have that. I didn't really know where I was going.
Did you believe the diagnosis that you had bipolar?
The second time around was more so because, things had happened, and even taking out the night shift of it, I didn't really think about it too much. I just wanted to be well. I wanted everything that my friends and family had. You know, I wanted to be, just have normal things, and it made it easier to accept the diagnosis then, because it was twice within 12 months, you know, and the hospital, you know, I got back in, after the first time I got back really fit again, and then I had to put on more, 3 more stone, and it does break you down a lot, you know, and yeah, I mean, it did reinforce the whole bipolar thing for me, second time.
Okay. And did that description or label, did it limit you in terms of how you viewed yourself or your future, or?
I think I can say now it did, yeah. I mean, at the time, it would have been something kind of, in a strange way to hold on to. It was, you know, it's described as, like, you know, a lot of bright, intelligent people have it. They've named celebrities who've had it, like in the past, like Abraham Lincoln or Michelangelo or whoever it would be, would have it. And then at the time, in that year or so, I think A Beautiful Mind came out. And it was a different diagnosis, but still it's that kind of similar thing of, you know, for me for a long time, because of that, I would have seen people who had depression and kind of looked down on them. It sounds crazy now saying it, but I would have felt that way because I had something, you know, which people were trying to get by taking Class A drugs at the time. That's how I saw it, and it doesn't make a lot of sense now, but when you're very little to make the best out of you make the best out of it. And that's what I saw myself in doing. I saw myself, you know, kind of, I wouldn't say embracing it, but it helped me to explain stuff, and because of that, I'd say it didn't help me go as far as I could have went.
And when you look back on your, say, your teenage years, your adolescence, with this explanation, in retrospect, do you look back on it differently, or was it relevant?
Yeah, I mean, for me the whole thing is like one story, not just standalone stories. You know, for me, you know, to go into my childhood and go into my little sister Siobhan caught that, and Mam's cancer, and the year before that, my speech stuff, my issues with OCD, my anxiety, you know, it's all there together, and this was never like an overnight realization. You know, it's taken a lot of work, I guess, for me to have this opinion right now, and to have it shared by other health professionals. But yeah, I see it as one story. But some of the people who I met at different stages, they only got to see parts of that story.